coming into the NBA, Chet Holmgren was looked at as one of those super versatile unicorn big men who at 7'1" could shoot, put the ball down, play make, post up, while being an elite interior defender. But despite all that ability, the big question is, what kind of player does OKC need Chet to be, and where is his skill set currently at? Now, because Holmgren is sharing the court with two other elite on-ball creators, most of his usage is spent spotting up and playing off the gravity of Shea and Jada. And throughout the playoffs, Chet's outside shooting has pretty much made or broke his play. When looking at his 3-point percentages from a bird's eye view, there was really nothing to write home about. And when diving into his numbers for each series, he did put together some decent stretches of hot shooting. And regardless, it's pretty common for a second-year player to have some struggles from behind the line, especially in a playoff setting. So I think some people are starting to underrate just how good of a shooter Chet actually is. First, the obvious thing that makes him effective is his size. Standing over 7 feet, it's pretty hard for the defense to get a hand up in a shooting window. And then on top of that, he also has really sharp footwork into his shot, always catching with his feet set and ready to get the ball up to his set point in one smooth motion. That blend of size and quick mechanics gives the defense little room for error when guarding him. If they help off too much and give him any breathing room off the catch, he's pretty much guaranteed to crank off a three.
He gets inside, picks it out. Holmgren again, lines it up again.
Look how the 6'11" Jaden McDaniels steps up just slightly too far in gap, and a simple swing pass to Chet turns into an open three. Along with that size and shot making, Chet also has pretty good movement off the ball. He's obviously not Steph Curry, but he does have a good feel of spacing, and his balance is pretty good when catching on the move. We'll see Lou Dort here catch and rip to his left, but look how Chet in the corner is going to fill up, creating this wide open passing angle. Now, like we all know, what really makes Chet special is that along with his shooting, he also has the ball skills and control to put it down and attack into open space. And I think he does his best work when he can attack into gravity. I like this read here, where Chet feels Turner closing out across to his left side, so he rips into his momentum and attacks back over to his right. When playing in the paint, I also think Chet does great work when he plays off 2 feet. First, because this makes him much more stable when he picks up and elevates for finishes. Plus, it gives him the opportunity to pivot and find different scoring angles. I would love to see more shots like this from him, where he first attacks across the paint to his left, but then he's going to stop on 2 and turn out for the short jumper. And then it's also important to note that Chet in spots can keep his dribble alive and find a scoring angle if the defense cuts off his initial move. But in the same vein, Chet looking to attack off the dribble does come with some real downsides. First, because he has a slim build and plays pretty upright with the ball, he does have a hard time dealing with contact. It's easy for physical defenders to push him off his spot, and even shorter guards and wings can get underneath him and make plays on the ball. Plus, Chet's handle isn't tight enough to deal with double teams or heavy gap defense. So when Chet's trying to attack from a standstill, this typically leads to him either turning the ball over or forcing up tough contested twos. And while he does have a good handle for his size, it's just not useful against quick and aggressive defenders, and it often leads to him being pushed off balance and just sloppy overall offense. Chet's lack of strength and stability also bleeds over to his play around the basket, where he has a really hard time lowering his shoulder and driving through the defense to carve out driving angles. I do think Chet does good work when he can attack into space, but when he's going up against a set defense or trying to force things through traffic, the result typically isn't very good. So with where Holmgren's game is at right now, I think it's safe to say that he does his best work playing off his shot. If he's getting open in rhythm catch and shoot threes and using his shot to leverage drives off the catch, I think he can consistently generate quality offense. But it does feel like Chet often bites off more than he can chew by trying to stop and create his own shot from a standstill. And right now, I don't think he has the ball skills, shot making, or feel to be the kind of guy that OKC runs offense through, especially considering how they already have 2 other elite on-ball creators. Now, OKC also uses Chet a lot as a pick and roll man, and from these spots, he does check pretty much every box. He's got the speed to slip out and get behind the defense, he's got the hands to catch on the move and rise up for finishes, plus he can stop short and pop these in-between looks. And then on top of all that, he's also a legit pick and pop threat, being able to can open threes and put the ball down to attack those aggressive shifts.
The three now drives inside the slam.
Again, when Chet buys into keeping the game simple, he really does have the build to get a ton of easy buckets. But again, pretty much all his issues stem from him trying to do too much. Shai is going to spray the ball out to him here at the top of the key, and Miles Turner from this spot has his feet set, and he can easily slide and wall off this crossover and spin, leading to another contested 2. And with the full shot clock, OKC can definitely get a better look than this. Now on this play, J-Dub is going to hit Chet popping out. But look how McDaniels is able to slide across and close off Chet's first drive. Once Chet loses his momentum, he should be looking to move the ball and set up a different action. But he again drives into traffic for another awkward shot. So I get that Chet as a player is still young and wants to do more, but he's in the perfect system that will maximize his strengths. He's getting a ton of open catch and shoot threes, he's playing with 2 elite playmakers out pick and roll, plus the Thunder's defense is forcing a ton of turnovers, which gives him the opportunity to get out and run. I think if Chet just bought into making open shots, being a well-rounded threat as a screen and roll man, while developing his ability to attack closeouts, that's enough by itself to average 20 plus points per game. And the Thunder just signed him to a rookie max extension. Considering how the Thunder just won a championship and Chet got paid, I think he should double down on doing the simple things. And with where his game is at right now, I don't see Chet being this Kevin Durant style off the dribble creator. Sure, he could develop his handle and get better at protecting the ball, but I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. And the thing is with Chet, an argument could be made that he has an even bigger impact on defense. First, in the playoffs last year, Chet averaged 1.9 blocks per game, which was the 3rd highest for all active players in the postseason. Obviously around the basket, Chet's height and length is enough by itself to erase plenty of shots. But I also think Chet over the past 2 years has gotten much more stable down low, being able to absorb contact and hold his ground. And this doesn't always lead to more blocks for him, but it does give OKC's defense more time to rotate. Look how he's going to rotate across the paint to put his body in front of Miles Turner, and he's able to absorb this bump, and the extra split second it takes for Miles to gather gives the Thunder's defense more time to rotate down.
He's surrounded, blocked by Hartenstein.
For his size, Chet also has very good movement in the paint. I wouldn't say he's the most mobile big man, but he's always early on his rotations, while having really good coordination with his body. We'll see him here running down Andrew Nembhard. And after getting lifted out of his stance, Holmgren's able to come back down and meet the ball on the other side of the rim. I love this play here, where OKC initially has a breakdown on the ball, and Chet has to cover 2 players in the paint. But look how he's first going to stun up, to then recover back down and get a hand on this pass. And all those tools from Chet's size, length, and mobility carry over to his defense at a pick and roll. In general, I would say he does his best work defending and drop, where he's great at putting himself in position to both stop the ball and take away any clear pass or roll. And this generally forces the offense into long contested 2s. And Chet's improved physicality also gives him more room for error from these spots. Look how he's going to slide over to cut off Nembhard's drive, to then recover back over and get in front of Turner. And he's again able to put his body in front and take away his momentum, giving Alex Caruso time to rotate down. When defending ball screens, Chet's also very good at blowing up breakdowns. And this is where that mobility becomes a big factor. Siakam is initially able to beat J-Dub to his left, but look how Holmgren from the top of the key is able to scramble down and meet Siakam at the rim.
5 minutes to play.
Along with Chet being able to sit and drop behind the screen, he's also comfortable stepping up and meeting the ball at the level. And because he has so much size on the ball, he can afford to drop back and give the ball handler a cushion. And this gives him more time to react to drives, while being able to extend up and take away any pull-ups. Look how much space Nembhard has when he comes off his pick. But when he picks up and looks for a step back to his left, Chet can just take one step forward and extend up. Now, it's also important to note that Chet out of pick and roll isn't bulletproof. If guards get ahead of his team to attack him, they can't get him off balance and find windows to score. And while Chet physically is more stable down low, he's still vulnerable at times when the offense attacks his body. But in general, Chet can pretty much do it all when he's put in the primary action. He has great positional awareness and drop, he can rotate and plug up any breakdowns, plus he has the length and foot speed to step out and meet the ball on the perimeter. And then on top of all that, OKC has also been comfortable letting Chet switch and defend guards and wings on an island. And out in open space, Chet is a really hard nut to crack. His length makes it difficult to create space to shoot from over the top. And again, he has surprisingly good foot speed for his size. And then even if the offense makes the right move by attacking his body, it's still not enough to majorly move him off his spot. And that 7'6" wingspan still plays a big factor. And what ended up happening throughout the finals was that when the Pacers guards had Chet on a switch, they just avoided him. So throughout 4 rounds of playoff basketball, Chet was pretty much able to hold his own against anyone. Obviously his lack of foot speed made him vulnerable in certain spots, but Chet for the most part being able to switch and not be a liability gave the Thunder's defense a ton of flexibility. They could play traditional ball screen coverage with him and drop, or they could switch and just play straight up one-on-one defense. And Chet being able to guard 1 through 5 also made it easy to plug him into every lineup. Again, they could go small with him at the 5, or play Ihart as the center and move him to the 4. And Chet's defensive impact doesn't stop there. Throughout the playoffs, he also had a major impact off the ball, and not just with his rim protection, but being able to slide down in gap and close out to shooters. And these are rotations you typically see from quicker guards or athletic wings. But a 7'1" center having the ability to dig down, scramble, and recover is pretty freaking crazy. Look how he initially shifts down towards the paint to provide extra help on the ball, but when it gets kicked out and swung back up to Miles Turner, Chet from the deep paint is able to scramble out and take away an immediate clear shot or drive. On paper, this may be a pretty typical defensive rotation, but there aren't many centers across the league who can make this kind of play. So defensively, I think Chet checks every possible box. He's an elite rim protector, he's perfect in literally every pick and roll coverage, he can switch out and hold his own 1 through 5, plus he has elite awareness and mobility off the ball. When you add up all that defensive impact and versatility, along with him having the ability to put up an efficient 20 points per game, that easily makes him one of the most impactful centers across the league. I think everything for him comes down to his offense. Again, if he buys into keeping the game simple, there is nothing stopping him from being an all-star over the next 10 years. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what the kids should break down next. The kids here.